The topic of V's character is far from new, but I decided to make a video of my own take on her. Even though most Murder Drones characters don't get much development, V receives by far the most, delivered in pieces over each episode. V quickly became my favorite, and is the best, main character by far since my viewing of the series. At the start, V's introduction in the pilot shows very little of what she would later become, but as the episodes progress, her redemption arc strengthens her character as a whole. I already briefly went over V in my general thoughts of the series, and today I'm going to go much further in depth. So to start, let's look at V in episode 1.
I still feel nothing.
Even though V doesn't get much screen time in the pilot, her initial personality and character still set up decently well. We first see V during Uzi's discussion with N in a flashback. This flashback shows her pretty psychotic side as she brutally kills this random drone. This scene immediately caught my attention on first watch, although mostly because of how unhinged she appeared than the other two disassembly drones. V also appears later when she returns with Jay to their space pod, but not much of note happens here, other than more of her psychoness.
We got a worker out there I kinda wanna practice balloon animal shapes with.
Much later in the episode, she shows up alongside Jay after N opens the bunker door, and of course, she assists in more murder. That's to be expected. All of these events lead up to the standoff between her and Jay against Uzi and N. A detail that stands out to me in this fight scene is that when V shoots her laser cannon at N, she misses. Looking back at this, I think it either foreshadows V needing glasses or her protectiveness of N. I feel like either are pretty likely. After the fight concludes, N and Uzi go back to the landing pod, dragging V with them, and that's about where V's screen time in this episode concludes. Overall, V's depiction in the pilot is pretty shallow in my opinion, compared to what she would later get, though it's to be expected considering it's only about 20 minutes. Even though V doesn't have much to show in this episode, it sets her foundations as a character pretty well. This conclusion also is largely true for episode 2, but it also aids in forwarding V's character a little more than episode 1.
Wanna do an autopsy to find out?
Episode 2 is even shorter than the pilot, being around 18 minutes. In this episode as well, V is rarely seen. Among her few scenes in this episode are a few major scenes to note. At the beginning of the episode, there is the Elliott Manor flashback. In this flashback, when N and V run into each other, it shows a much softer side of V. In this clip, she seems genuinely surprised and worried, unlike her in modern times at this point in the series. This flashback also supports the idea of V needing glasses, as she is seen wearing them in the scene. And it implies that V and N had a romantic interest in each other. This is supported in the current times by the pilot, when N shoots a heart from his cannon while fighting V. The last notable part V has in this episode is at the end. It is shown that she is intentionally staying captive by N, still faking being chained up via hiding the fact that it's broken. I take this as her trying to stay around N because she cares for him, even though she could easily escape. This already says a lot about her early in the series, hinting at the later reveal of her caring for N still, whether she'd like to admit it or not. So in total, even though V doesn't get much from this episode, I still appreciate that she gets some minor background and reveals some of her relationship with N. Unlike the pilot in episode 2, episode 3 really pushes forward V's development. Around a quarter into this episode, we get a pretty important scene with V and N.
We're too dangerous.
Exactly. We show up fabulous. The sad purple one lets us in, because she has no friends. We kill everyone and pop her little head off.
I'm not freeing you for prom murder, V. Jay went hollow spooky snake crab, and we maybe grew up in a haunted mansion. Aren't you worried we have no idea what we even are?
Promise me you and that purple thing will stop prying into that stuff. If you free me now, I promise we'll only kill what we need to survive. Just you and me, N.
This scene confirms what I had suspected earlier in episode 1 and 2. It reveals that V has a softer side even though it appears to be mostly for N, and when N mentions being curious about their past, it immediately makes V worried, just confirming that she knows more than she lets on. Later on, V escapes from being held captive to infiltrate the prom. While doing so, she ends up befriending Lizzie, using her to get into the event. Now, while Lizzie and V end up becoming pretty close later on, I feel like V does actually enjoy talking to Lizzie initially. They do have a very similar personality. When V shows up at the prom and gets nominated prom queen, by default, since all the others are dead, she immediately switches up.
Prom queen? Ugh. And kill everyone after? It's not vain. It's extra sinister.
V quickly goes from mass murder mode to kind of shrinking. Like, she immediately becomes confused, and to me, seems somewhat embarrassed. Though she accepts being prom queen without too much hesitation. This interaction, I feel, brings out a different side of V not seen before this, serving to provide even more depth to her character. A side of her that I see as seeking attention and being the spotlight. This might come from jealousy of Uzi getting more of N's attention, her previous love interest, so she just accepts any attention. Then again, she's the same cold, kind of constantly annoyed drone that would just be demonstrated more in episode 4. During the prom fight, where V is incapacitated by Doll, this is the first time in the series she shows actual fear as the cleavers fly for her head. Though, looking back at this, I'm not sure why she's afraid, because the murder drones could just regenerate, like N did in the pilot, but whatever. And backstage, it shows that Lizzie and V have been hanging out due to their shared response to N.
Thank you, Lizzie!
Shut up, loser.
After the murder of Doll, there's one last major part I'm going to highlight from this episode. That is near the end when Uzi's powers are revealed by her catching Doll's bullet. I looked back at this scene and for about a second you can see V point her gun at Uzi looking terrified. This is actually foreshadowing to V in episode 4 being afraid of and trying to kill Uzi for the same reason, her powers. Anyway, I feel like this episode as a whole deepens V's character a lot, from her setting up her relationship with Lizzie to showing even more of her personality traits. With the many mentions of episode 4 already, let's talk about it. This episode has by far the most development in V's relationships. To start the episode, the bunker class is on a field trip to an abandoned human base. The trip was suggested by Uzi as a cover-up for her to investigate the camp. And to help, I mean, really do everything for the teacher, N and V show up to guide. Now I think this episode shows V's personality the most out of any of the 4 episodes thus far. She's presented as a badass, sarcastic, and still pretty ruthless. Though a major key point in this episode is V's interaction with Uzi in the cabin overviewing the lake. V basically threatens Uzi, telling her to stay distant.
Stupid idiot. Weren't you just— You said this camp would help us catch that red-eyed doll freak? How about more explory, less watch from window creepy?
Working on it. Just so glad you guys fit right in. Super cool.
Better to stay distant, though. Don't you think? Since I'll have to kill you next. Anne's made friends with Rox, by the way. He'll move on just fine.
I see this as a large part of V being jealous of Uzi getting the attention from N. I mean, she literally mentions how N has made friends with Rox, by the way. He'll move on just fine. The next major scene for V's development is with Uzi in her witnessing Uzi transform an arrow into flesh. This interaction just cements V's suspicions and worries of Uzi's powers even more. This results in V's conflict with N over whether to kill Uzi.
V, we can't hurt Uzi!
Do our jobs, and that thing leaves us alone.
I don't know what you're talking about because you won't tell me! What are you so afraid of?
Not afraid.
I am! Uzi is! She's a kid, like us, V! What is wrong with you?
It also shows her that N has also grown more of a backbone. He hits her sword away and basically tells her off. These 3 key points scenes really develop V's relationship with both N and Uzi, and the development doesn't stop there this episode. After Uzi's murder psycho rampage, she attempts to kill Lizzie, and V intervenes. To me, this shows V does actually care for Lizzie, even if she says she doesn't.
Killing her, not saving you.
Although V was able to save Lizzie, she was nearly killed herself by Uzi. After V's saving and N and Uzi's resolve, we get this funny scene between Lizzie and V.
Ew. Don't patronize
What?
me.
I think it's gross all by myself. God, you're a diva lately.
And to conclude the episode, V and Lizzie are seen sitting next to each other on the bus, and V even covers for Uzi.
Yo, I get hungry, idiot.
No name calling, just a question.
Overall, I think this episode stood out to me more compared to episode 3, V-wise. While episode 3 definitely does deepen V's character, after analyzing episode 4, V has a whole mini arc in this episode. While V has a character, still has a decent bit to go. After all, there's another 4 episodes. This episode really just hammers on her personality and relationships. While episodes 3 and 4 have done loads for V and are pretty solid, episode 5 is, well, episode 5 is iffy.
The flesh demands invitation.
This episode is quite notorious for its writing and presentation, which you've probably heard about already, so I won't discuss that here. V in this episode is very lacking, basically a statue the whole time. The most she gets as a role is going feral from the solver with her weird flesh parts, like Uzi in episode 4. The only really major scene in this is in Sin's bunker between N and V. This scene really just strengthens the bond between them from the manor, with the golden retriever scene.
I got you.
Golden retrievers have
Gentle mouths, dude.
And that's really about all this episode offers for V, though. Overall, I don't have much to talk about here. V is pretty sidetracked. It's fine, though, since V gets a major role in the last of the following episode, 6.
Radio.
For a majority of this episode, there isn't much for V. She's active in the scenes, but mostly serves as a supporting role. However, in the last quarter, she takes up a more main role. After being freed from the restraints, she saves Uzi and regroups with the rest of the gang. This just goes to show even more the resulting development from the previous episodes, her actually caring for Uzi. After regrouping though, V doesn't trust Tessa, while N does out of pressure, creating tension. Though the way V interacts with Tessa just foreshadows more of her true identity. V is also the first shown to be suspicious of Tessa, though I wonder if she was so suspicious of Tessa because she had already known who she was. Since earlier in the series it's shown that V and J know more about Sin than they let on to N. Anyway, rant aside, the next key point is the hallway trap. Tessa grabbing the key in the obvious trap causes Doll to put her plan into effect, releasing the Sentinels, cornering the gang. Right as Tessa is about to be shot, V catches the frickin' bullet and throws it back, and somehow gets her glasses back. They don't explain that. Some intense fighting later, and V decides to stay back to fight the Sentinels, sacrificing herself.
Nah. Uzi, I trust you.
V, please!
This grand conclusion to her arc is and was very depressing, so much so that it divided the community upon the episode's release. Though, in my opinion, I think V's sacrifice really ties up her character arc up to this point nicely. It shows how she's come to trust Uzi and respect N more as a self-sufficient person, rather than someone who needs to be protected. I mean, she says herself that she trusts Uzi. All of it being backed by the amazing song Eternal Dreams, layering on to the sadness. And this unfortunately is the last time we see V for a whole episode. Yep, a whole episode with a facade of her being dead. Which in episode 8, to my happiness, she is not. As for episode 7, I'll play a short recap.
God fucked it.
V in this episode takes up a supportive role similar to the majority of episode 6, though she definitely has more key moments that stood out to me. V makes an epic re-entrance, much to Jay's dismay, and even has a tamed sentinel. This scene between V and Jay goes to cement Jay's narcissism and self-centered character as a whole, and also demonstrates how V has changed to go against that, rather than just being neutral and going along with it. At the end of this fight, V rejects Jay's offer to join her, and says Uzi's iconic line.
Oh, how about you bite me?
After Sin's in-person, very friendly greeting to N and Uzi, V ends up in the hallway where Sin is searching for N and Uzi after her fight with Jay. In the entire show, this scene is where V shows the most vulnerability and fear. V even starts tearing up and admitting how she shouldn't have hid info from N.
N? You're okay? Jay too! And... I'm so sorry.
N tries to stop her as it's a trap, resulting in his capture, and Sin chases V out of the facility.
Still...
Bad job, V.
Outside, she threatens to eat N's core, causing V to go into an almost full panic attack before Khan intervenes.
Squirmy world.
This series of events, I believe, are the biggest contrast to V's original characterization out of any in the series. It really just demonstrates how terrifying Sin is, and V's softening and added depth as a character as a whole. In the final battle, V can even hold her own against Sin for a little. After Sin's defeat, it cuts back to them being in class, and it is shown that V and Lizzie are still hanging out, solidifying their relationship from earlier episodes. Overall, while in some aspects episode 8 is not the strongest in writing, from the content we got, I feel like V was done justice in her writing. Episode 8 really puts a vulnerable side out of V that was rarely seen before. She even gets good screen time. I feel like I've exhausted all there is to yap about, so I suppose it's conclusion time. Murder Drone's V is a deep character with many sides to her personality and backstory, which is a stark contrast to her start in the series. V has a very well-rounded arc and redemption. In my opinion, V is the most standout character in the whole series of Murder Drones, and is my favorite by far due to her characterization and personality by series end. I hope you now understand her character more and my perspective on her. Maybe she's even your favorite if she wasn't before. Anyway, thank you for watching and have a good day or night.